Okay, we're going to do something a little different to kick things off today. We're going to speed date. So, if you're next to your spouse right now, you've got 60 seconds. So after you hear these instructions, I want you to pause the video, tell your spouse one thing you love about them, one thing that you've been meaning to say, and one thing that you're looking forward to doing together. Go. How did that feel? A little awkward? A little fun? Maybe both? Good. Hold on to that feeling because that's exactly what we're talking about today. Hey, welcome back to Married on Purpose. This is our third video in our year-long series on taking your marriage seriously, and I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're talking about something that should be exciting, but somehow became complicated the moment we said, I do. We're talking about dating your spouse. Now, think back for a second. Before you got married, dating was everything. You planned for it, you got dressed up for it, you were nervous, excited, and you actually looked forward to it. There were butterflies, there were late nights, there was effort, real, intentional effort poured into every single date. So what happened? Here's the truth. God made us social beings. We were designed to connect through shared experiences. Dating was the vehicle that brought most of us together in the first place. It's how you learned your spouse's laugh, their stories, what makes them light up. Dating wasn't just fun, it was foundational. But somewhere between the wedding, the mortgage, the kids, the job, and the laundry that never ends, your spouse stopped being your date and became your roommate, your co-parent, your logistical partner, your quote-unquote family. And that shift, it's one of the most quietly damaging things that can happen in a marriage. Here's what we want to challenge today. Dating in marriage isn't a nice to have. It's not a reward for when things are going well. It's not a Hollywood fantasy. It's how you nourish your spouse. It's how you say without words, you are still my top priority. So let's talk about what that actually looks like. The first thing we have to address is this. Stop treating your spouse like a friend. I know that sounds strange because we're always told marry your best friend. And yes, friendship in marriage is beautiful. But here's the problem. After a few years, many couples slide from romantic partners into something that feels more like a friendship or family relationship. The spark dims. The pursuit stops. You're comfortable. And comfortable can slowly become complacent. Think about Marcus and Tanya. They've been married 8 years. They love each other. But when they spend time together, it looks like this. They sit on opposite ends of the couch, phones in one hand, half watching the same show, occasionally saying, "Did you see that?" That's not a date. That's just being in the same room. Dating is intentional. It's purposeful. It says, I'm choosing you again today. Now, when it comes to the practice of dating, there are 3 things that matter most: time, commitment, and sacrifice. Now, time is your most precious non-renewable resource. You can make more money. You can find more space. You cannot get back a single minute. So when you give your spouse your time, real, undistracted, present time, that is one of the most valuable gifts that you can offer. And here's something important. The date starts when you hand off the kids. It starts when you put down the to-do list. It's not about the venue. It's not about whether you go somewhere fancy or stay in your own backyard. The moment you turn toward each other and say, right now, we are each other's focus, that's when the date begins. Let's talk about commitment. Commitment means putting your dates on the calendar. Treat them like a meeting with your most important client. Because you are. Be bold about it. Be realistic too. You don't need a 5-star restaurant every week, but you do need to show up and hold each other accountable, not with guilt or condemnation, but with the understanding that this is something you've chosen together. Dating should feel like a loving act of commitment. not another item on your obligation checklist. And finally, there's sacrifice. Think about this. These days, who has nothing to do? Nobody. Everyone is stretched. Everyone is busy. That's exactly why the sacrifice means something. There's a beautiful moment in the book of Mark, chapter 12, where Jesus watches a widow drop 2 small coins into the offering box, the smallest of any amount for that day. And he says she gave more than all the others because she gave out of her poverty. She gave when she could least afford to give. That's the kind of dating we're talking about. When you take time off from work, put down a hobby, step away from a project you care about, and give that time to your spouse. That is an offering, and your spouse will feel the weight of it. So let's talk about expectations and what should dating do for your marriage. Dating sets the expectation for physical intimacy. It refreshes your perspective about the relationship. It's the primary way most of us communicate romance to our spouse. Not flowers alone. Not a text that says, love you. A date, face-to-face, time together, making a memory. But here's the challenge. After years together, you develop a comfort zone. You know each other's jokes. You know each other's order at the restaurant. You know what they're going to say before they say it. That familiarity is precious, but it can also become a fog that dims the excitement you once had. The challenge is to mentally escape that comfort zone, to look at your spouse the way you did on one of your early dates and think, I chose this person. Let me pursue them like it. Imagine Sarah deciding to surprise her husband, John, with a completely unexpected date night. Not the usual Friday dinner spot, but something new. She's nervous, he's caught off guard, but that evening they laugh harder than they have in months. They talk about things they haven't talked about in years, and they go to bed that night feeling like something shifted. That's what dating does. God designed romance and marriage. He wants you to pursue each other, to be pursued with passion, with creativity, with intention. We need to expect more from ourselves in that area, request more from each other, and deliver more, because God says we can. But what is the purpose of dating, and how is it different now that you're married? It's a question worth sitting with. Now that you're married, what is dating actually for? When you were single, dating was an exploratory activity. You were vetting someone, learning who they were, deciding if they were worth your time. Every date was gathering information. And there was an instant payoff, the excitement of someone new, the thrill of being wanted, the break from your normal routine. For married couples, it's different. Dating is no longer exploratory. It's more of a maintenance activity. And in a world addicted to instant gratification, maintenance doesn't sound very exciting. We want results now. But couples who practice delayed gratification, who invest consistently in their marriage, even when they don't feel like it, have healthier, happier, more fulfilling relationships. Think about it this way. You wouldn't go to the gym once a month and expect to be healthy. You wouldn't skip saving for years and expect a comfortable retirement. The same logic applies here. You can't neglect the dating life of your marriage for months at a time and then try to reclaim all the intimacy in one big date night. It doesn't work that way. Your schedule is a reflection of your priorities. We spend time on what we value, and if your spouse looks at your calendar and sees no space carved out for them, no date, no intentional time together, that communicates something. Not because you don't love them, but because love has to be demonstrated consistently. And here's something that's easy to overlook. In a crisis, when stress hits, when finances are tight, when things get hard, the first thing couples tend to sacrifice is physical intimacy. It gets saved for optimal conditions. But intimacy can't only survive in perfect weather. It has to be built into the fabric of your marriage as a lifestyle, not a luxury. So let's be honest for a second. If dating is this important, why don't we do it more often? Some of us would say the love is gone. We don't feel it anymore. And to that, I gently say, don't let Hollywood define love for you. Love is not just a feeling, it's a decision. If you've lost the feeling, what you need isn't a better date, you need to reconnect with the love of God. Knowing how deeply you are loved is the foundation for loving someone who, on some days, seems unlovable. It starts there. Some of us would say, I don't have time. But we make time for what we value. And here's a thought that might surprise you. Preparation actually fosters spontaneity. Scheduling date night doesn't kill the romance. Neglecting each other does. You're not going to magically fall into each other's arms in the middle of a busy Tuesday. Intentionality creates the conditions for romance. And some of us might say, we're not getting along right now. It would feel fake. Here's the truth. Married couples live by their convictions, not their feelings. Don't let a season of friction become a permanent gap. Show up for each other even when it's hard. You know the book, The Song of Songs in the Bible, one of the most beautiful books in Scripture. It's essentially a series of dates between two lovers. It moves through initial love, faltering love, growing love, transforming love, and ultimately mature love. And throughout all of it, every chapter, every season, there's always passion. That's the picture God paints of marriage. Not a relationship that burns hot for 2 years and then settles into polite coexistence, but a love that matures and stays passionate. Because here's the truth. Maturity without passion is boring. Passion without maturity won't last. But when passion meets maturity, love truly awakens. The fact that you're watching this right now means something. It means you're taking responsibility for your relationship. You're not waiting for your marriage to get better on its own. You're investing in it. And that's exactly what Married on Purpose is all about. If this video spoke to you, do us a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to Married on Purpose so you never miss an episode. We're here every week with real talk, biblical truth, and practical tools for building the marriage you were designed to have. We'd also love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Tell us, when was the last time you went on a real date with your spouse? And what's your go-to date idea? Let's build a community down there. And for even more couples resources, tools, and encouragement, head over to daveanddarie.com. There's so much waiting for you there. Until next time, date your spouse on purpose.